uncut, unscripted, and on the fly, and I do apologize if I stumble over any words. I recently finished up watching Toongrin's video on asking whether or not Return to Zombie Island, the latest direct-to-video Scooby-Doo film, was canon or not. And the one thing that Y-Boy pointed out at the end of that was how Velma's been written not just in this film and not just in Curse of the 13th Ghost, but in the films that came before it. Basically, the way she's written is being that of the defiant skeptic. In other words, not believing in the supernatural unless she can't find a true explanation as to what's going on. And I can understand that being frustrating to those at Toongrin.com and any other fellow Scooby-Doo fans out there. I can understand that because the way Velma's been written at times, especially in the early portion of the direct-to-video films, was great. It was great character development for her because she still kept that skepticism about herself. She still kept that. But she was written to the point that even though she still kept her skepticism about what was going on, she was willing to at least give the chance to the fact that maybe what they were dealing with could indeed be real and unexplainable. However, lately, from what others have pointed out, that's not the case because now she's being written as being a defiant skeptic that won't believe in the supernatural or the unexplained unless she can explain it or find an explanation herself. And this is very true to real life, believe it or not, because there are many people out there, normal people, scientists, doctors, astronomers, biologists, people at NASA, you name it, that when something occurs that's new to them and unexplainable to them, that they will try to find an explanation to the mystery. They will try to find an answer to that mystery so they don't come off as, not being as smart as they seem to be. So, for example, there's been a lot of phenomenons happening in space that seem to be unexplainable to NASA and the scientists involved, but yet they try to find an answer to it so they won't come off as being unknowledgeable, if you will. Unknowledgeable, that's the word I'm looking for. They won't come off looking like they don't know what's going on, like they don't have a clue. The same with any, archaeologists, astronomers, stuff like that. If they find things like archaeologists, if they're digging for fossils or they're digging for ruins and all that, and they find fossils to a creature that's from the prehistoric age, but it's unlike any other creature they've seen before, read about before, then they will come up with a name for it while they try to come up with an explanation of how it came to be so they don't come off as being unknowledgeable. To that situation. Even biologists will come out and do the same thing. Like there's a couple of times, I read about this online, but there's somewhat of a rare disease that happens that I think you got to get surgery for to get it removed. But there's a rare disease that happens in the body, whether it's in the stomach, in the brains, or whatever, in the brain, in the stomach, wherever, to where something will occur, and all of a sudden, through a mixture of minerals or whatever, certain parts of your body, whether it's in the brain or even in the stomach, will grow little hands, little feet, and even teeth, and perhaps an eyeball or so. They won't be alive, but it'll basically be like you're growing a second person inside of you. And you just don't know it until, doctors and biologists, discover it and start wondering, oh my God, what is this? How is this happening? And they try to come up with an answer. And sometimes they come up with a reasonable answer, but sometimes even that reasonable answer doesn't seem like it makes sense to even those that read about it. So those that read about it feel like all these biologists and doctors are doing is just giving us a load of crap. It's situations like that to where they try to find an answer to the unknown so they don't come off as looking dumb or like they don't know what's going on themselves. They don't have an explanation themselves. And that's how Velma's portrayed here. That's how she's portrayed here. She's portrayed as being the character, being the member of the group that doesn't want to come off looking like she doesn't know what she's talking about, because she doesn't want to make it look like that even as smart as she is, she can't explain the phenomenon of the supernaturalness that's occurring right in front of her. Now, what really put Y-Boy a little over the edge was her explanation, even though she was there herself, and she saw it herself, her explanation for the cat people turning into skeletons and then into dust, the zombies, and then the zombies turning back into skeletons and to dust, all that. Her explanation is, it's a combination of people in masks, special effects, and swamp gas. Even though people that have seen the first movie, the original On Zombie Island movie, know that's complete BS. And then the same could be said for Curse of the 13th Ghost. Even though a lot of fans, generations worth, have seen 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, Velma's explanation as to why Daphne and Shaggy and Scooby and Flim Flam traveled all over chasing after all these ghosts and all that, and whatnot, was all due to the lack of oxygen due to the altitude they were in when it came to the Himalayas. Yeah, that was Velma's answer there. So you can understand why someone like Y-Boy and the rest of Toongrin.com and many others are upset at the way she's being written. Because in the beginning, she was written as being skeptical, still maintaining her skepticism, but was willing to give the unknown, the unexplained, the supernatural a chance at being actually real. She was willing to give it a chance at being believable. Here, it's like she just doesn't do that, and that's what upsets a lot of fans. And I can understand that. But here's what I think is probably going to happen. Hear me out. You can't tell me that the people behind Scooby-Doo, behind the Scooby-Doo franchise, don't hear what we're saying, because they do. They're obviously hearing what fans are saying. They obviously hear that fans are upset about some of the changes being made and Velma's explanations as possibly being the reason why. Here's my thought process. I think they're building to another direct-to-video animated film that's going to focus on Velma, and it's going to focus on her finally coming to terms of the supernatural being real, and we'll probably finally get an answer as to why she's skeptical about it. Is why she doesn't want to flat out admit, yes, there is something that's unknown, something supernatural there, but I don't want to admit it. I never wanted to admit it, and we'll probably get a reason why. Just drinking some root beer there. But yeah, well, my speculation is it's leaning towards something like that in the future. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But my belief is we're going to get that. We're going to get a film like that. Because you can't just have 2, 3, 4, who knows how many films in a row with Velma pulling out this trope and not giving it an answer in the end, and not giving it a resolution, a conclusion in the end, or some kind of comeuppance, or whatever you want to call it. And my belief, my speculation is we're going to get that in the next direct-to-video Scooby-Doo film, where it will be focused on her as being the central character, and her finally admitting that yes, she does believe in the supernatural, but here's the reason as to why she always acts very skeptical about it and always tries to deny the realism to it. We're going to have to get an explanation down the line, and I think eventually we will. and it's going to be probably in the next direct-to-video film. But yeah, in my personal opinion, and I know I sound like I rambled and everything, but like I said at the beginning, this is uncut, uncensored, and on the fly, and unscripted. But again, like I said, the reason Velma's written the way she is right now is basically because, you know, it's very relatable to real life. Like I said, there's a lot of people in real life, mostly that are scientists, that are brains of an outfit, scientists, biologists, astronomers, archaeologists, NASA, whatever you want to call, whatever, you know, area, you know, geologists, whatever you want to call them, you know, whatever you want to point out, whatever area, you know, category, whatever. Again, Velma's situation, the way she's written, is very relatable to all that in real life, because there are many in that scientific field, in that scientific multiple field of careers that basically are identical to how Velma's acting. Like, they'll see the unknown, they'll discover something unexplainable, but they'll try to come up with an answer to it so they don't come off as being not as smart as they look. And that's how Velma's being written right now. But I think, I'm speculating, my speculation is she's being written this way because it's going to lead towards something in the future, possibly with another direct-to-video animated film, where she finally admits the truth, where she finally explains why she always is defiant with her skepticism when it comes to the supernatural, even though she might be a believer herself. So that's really about it, guys. That's really all I have to say about it, guys, and how and why Velma is written the way she is, or has been recently. But let me know what you all think down below. Why, boy, if you take the time and watch this. If you don't, that's fine. I'd love to hear what you and people at Toongrin have to say about this, and my thought process and speculation on it, and reasoning. Long-haired creepy guy, you know, I want to know what your thoughts are as well, and anybody else watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on what I had to say here. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit, but like I said, it's uncut, unscripted, and on the fly. But again, let me know what you guys' thoughts are, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace out. God bless.